because you brought up the Miranda rights and all that stuff, I did find this article talking about the tropes of, and I'm sure it translates from books to films, and you can touch on it as well. But it's basically uh, an article from Comic Book Resources called "10 Cringiest Police Procedural Tropes."
Yeah, I had a look at
So,
that one when you sent it to me.
so I thought we could just go through it a little bit, and you can just touch on um, how much you hate it or love it, or and what would be better in that kind of scenario. But the first one is gunshot wounds that go through and through.
Yeah, I do have a. I do have a couple of videos in mind where I'm going to talk about, reference to guns and but yeah, you do see that a lot where there's police shootouts in an
Yeah,
alleyway and there's rounds flying everywhere. It's great
yeah,
entertainment on TV, but um, generally shootouts don't occur. Most shootings happen where within close proximity, where you're speaking to someone and it's in a highly volatile situation. They produce a knife and it's within 5 meters and there's a
yeah,
shot. You have to act very quickly. Very rarely are there
yeah,
shootouts in alleyways. But yeah, the whole idea of someone getting shot, they get shot in the arm and then back on duty the next day with a
yeah,
bandage on,
yeah,
all this sort of stuff. Yeah,
yeah. It's not like that in the real world. Um,
no.
okay, number nine, police who always bend the rules.
Yeah, you got the Dirty Harrys, the Real
Yeah,
Breakers, the Mel Gibson's character on Lethal Weapon,
yeah,
sort of very unhinged and breaking the rules and doing it for the greater good. And they always come out, the Teflon coated, always come out smelling like
yeah,
roses. Most of those rule breaking, you'd get suspended or sacked pretty quickly in the real world
yeah,
if you did a lot of these things.
yeah. Sorry, the cables stuck around my chair. Um, all right. Now, I'm not sure you can relate to this one all that well, but women police who wear heels.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, that isn't that a fashion statement?
Yeah,
No, yeah, no,
it's just
no.
it's just not
Uh,
practical.
No, like even our women uniform officers are wearing very similar. What the men and women wear in uniform now is wearing your very comfortable, chunky rubber boots with the sort of almost paramilitary style
Yeah,
cargo trousers with the elastic bands at the bottom, and they wear their body worn
yeah,
their load bearing vest with all their accoutrements on their vests and utility belt. And so what the women are wearing is highly practical and
yeah,
resembles what the men wear. The
yeah,
female detectives wear obviously have to be very sensible clothing and
yeah,
business attire and
yeah,
and appropriate footwear. So no, I've yet to see a female detective wearing high heels.
yeah. Okay. Missed Miranda warnings. They're basically saying that, like, how they get off because their rights weren't read to them or something like that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think I think the context of that is saying it's way too easy to kind of create an opportunity for the bad guy to get off, particularly a really bad villain who's a gangster or and they get off and they thumb their nose to the authorities because the police officers have made a mistake with
yeah,
not reading them their rights. Um, the thing is that could happen in reality, but I think what they're
yeah,
saying is that's become a bit of a cliche in
yeah,
sort of storylines.
yeah. The quick one now. Now, I'm guessing this is one of your least favorite or most hated tropes because of how you've written Jared O'Connor in your books, but divorced cops.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's a big one. I actually talk a lot about this one. It's the it's
yeah,
the the cliche detective. They're usually broken. They've got inner
yeah,
demons. They're usually divorced. They're estranged from their kids. They're probably an alcoholic or they've got some sort of
yeah,
mental health issue or um they're all consumed by their job. They've got no outside life. They live alone. Maybe they live with their cat. Um, Usually they come home from work and they're met by their cat and they feed their cat and they put their gun on the coffee table and they pull out their laptop and they're already back at work and they're just
yeah,
these kind of hollow people who live and
yeah,
live and breathe for the job. And that's
yeah,
that real classic cliche of the detective, that stereotype, broken alcoholic, divorced. And that's not the case. I think that's a that's
yeah,
a cliche that's been overdone.
yeah, yeah. Number five, informants who know everything.
Yeah, they say that's kind of it's convenient to wheel in an informant who can provide a bit of backstory, or it's
Yeah,
convenient for the detectives to get the word on the street
yeah,
rather than having to do some genuine police work. And it's very convenient that these informants just pop into the script to insert some information, and then you never hear from them again.
yeah. Move the plot forward quick. You know. Um,
Yeah.
Number four, cliched stakeouts.
Yeah, the stakeouts, the police sitting in their cars with a takeout coffee and a donut.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing about stakeouts, it could be the case where police or detectives might kind of follow a suspect and sort of track their movements a little bit. But this whole idea of uh, detectives sitting in their car for 12 hours staking out a suspect doesn't really happen these days, particularly with modern policing,
Yeah.
because if you have a high level, a good crim, a good suspect, we've got a surveillance unit that will do that.
Yeah.
So we can quickly get the surveillance unit, and it's their job to do
Yeah.
surveillance. So you as the detective don't need to be sitting there
Yeah.
in your own time, off duty, doing a
Yeah.
stakeout. It doesn't happen because
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I don't know too many coppers that are that dedicated that they would spend a night away from their families, not
Yeah.
getting paid. And they're certainly not going to get paid overtime to be doing stakeouts.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the real world, if you've got your detective doing a 12-hour stakeout, eating donuts and drinking takeout coffee, rethink that, because they would probably get the surveillance unit in to do that for
Yeah.
them, and they can go back to doing what they really need to do,
Yeah.
and gathering evidence and
Yeah.
interviewing witnesses.
Yeah. It does seem like a little bit like inconvenient and just more important things to do.
Yeah.
Um, Number three, hating the consultant.
Yeah, do get those shows where they bring in the consultant, whether it's a psychic medium or it's a forensic consultant. Whether that's American thing, in Australia, that's not really, we don't really have consultants anyway. So I
Yeah.
think if you are writing a story where, and it's an Australian-based story where you've got some sort of security expert or some sort of external civilian consultant working with police, maybe there might be some cases where there might be like a particular forensic expert comes in, but generally the resources that we use are people who are already employed in government agencies, and it's their job. We don't
Yeah.
generally have consultants coming in. So that's probably more of an American thing, because the American policing system is so disjointed and fragmented.
Yeah.
They've got so many police departments that sometimes they might need to bring in these kind of civilian consultants that
Yeah.
work part-time for the police. We don't really have that here.
Yeah. Number two, magical forensics.
Yeah, the old thing is very convenient that the forensic results come back within 20 minutes because they've got to get that information in
Yeah.
fit within a 1 hour episode.
Yeah.
Forensic results can take weeks sometimes. So
Yeah.
you've still got to be keeping yourself busy and conducting investigations while you're waiting for the forensic results to come in. And look, forensic technology is improving all the time. There's some wonderful things that they can do, but yeah, it's almost like these CSI shows are always trying to
Yeah.
come up with something
Yeah.
new, groundbreaking stuff that's gonna, wow, this is just
Yeah.
groundbreaking. Generally, it's still good old fingerprints, DNA, that sort of stuff. It's still the
Yeah.
bread and butter of what police
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. It's much like the old lawyer shows. How it's all solved in one episode. Like, oh, we solved the case.
Yes,
When in
yes,
reality it goes much longer. There's this brilliant Netflix show called The Lincoln Lawyer, and the whole season is one case. So
yes,
it's like
yes,
it takes time. It's not just
yeah,
woo.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, number one. And this is my favorite. Whiteboards that look like craft projects. They
Yeah.
got everything panned out.
Yes, with the wool, the lines of string on the
Yep.
on the pins, but linking
Yeah.
suspects, and
Yep.
uh yeah. Look, it's great on screen for to show, the viewers can see the links between the suspects and
Yep.
the suspect profiles, and they've got arrows linking the different suspects, and you
Yep.
see that. But look, in reality, police don't use those whiteboards because number one, there's confidentiality. You never know who's going to
Yeah.
walk into the room and see that
Yeah.
information. And it's all computerized now anyway. We can do spreadsheets and everything's done. We can track evidence and linkages between witnesses and suspects. It's all done. We got computer software that does all that now. So there's no need for whiteboards and bits of wall string and post-it notes and sketches and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. Mug shots up on the whiteboard. Doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We made it through the article. I'll leave the link in the show notes if you guys want to have a gander at that.
And one thing that irks me the most is where we're seeing American terminology creep into Australian
Yes.
stories. Things like recently I said something about, for example, we don't call police cars squad cars. And I was reading
Yeah.
someone's manuscript and they said, "Oh, thank you so much. I called police cars squad cars or police are going into the squad room to have a briefing. We don't
Yeah.
call our station day room a squad room. We
Yeah.
don't call our police cars squad cars.
Yeah.
And there's other terminologies that have crept in. We don't use the legal term felon. A person's committed a felony. That's not even part of our legal system anymore.
Yeah.
It's either a crime or a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So all these Americanisms are creeping in, and
Yeah.
the feds are coming in to investigate a homicide. We don't have the feds coming in to investigate homicides. It's the state police. I could bang on for ages, but
Yeah.
that's for anyone who's interested, that's what I'm doing. For this reason is I'm creating this series of kind of
Yeah.
tutorial videos where I kind of talk about this stuff.